What's going well, what's kinda so-so, and what's not going well. Okay, fine, I decided to change my shirt. Minasan konnichiwa, welcome back to the channel. This video continues from the one I posted just before, a secondary update video if you will. This one I've been planning to make for a while, and once again it is middle October 2024. However, there are still a bunch of videos going back from even January of 2024 that you haven't seen yet. So these videos will come out and then I'll backtrack and release a couple more. So I apologize that they're not real time, they're not in chronological order, but eventually I'll get there. I will get there. And when you see this video in 2028, hopefully I'll be on a consistent timeline. But anyway, this video is going to talk about what's really happening here in Japan about my life. What's going well, what's kinda so-so, and what's not going well. So let's start with the what's not going so well. So the first one to probably check off the list is the language. It's tough. Japanese is difficult. 日本語は難しい。とても。As fun as it is, I love learning the language. It's really great. However, it's difficult to make time. Even though I was a student, I'm not a student, if that makes sense. I like learning. I like absorbing material, but I don't like studying material. I don't like sitting there with a textbook and writing or reading for infinite hours in a day. Some people do that. They'll just sit there, do whatever they gotta do, and obviously it shows. You get what you put in. For me, I'm kind of a more visual learner. I like to watch, passively listen to things, and just kind of absorb as I go along. The textbook style doesn't always work for me. Sometimes it does, sometimes it's great. Even using apps and things like that. I made a video before about using apps, textbooks, audiobooks, all that kind of stuff. You gotta find out what works for you. And what works for me is really just talking to people. However, the difficult side of that is when I first moved here, I had to get utilities hooked up. I had to get internet. I had to get gas and water, all those kind of things, and internet. And I wanted to do that stuff on my own. I didn't want help externally from friends and whatnot. I wanted to do it on my own. And when you do, you usually have to go on a website and kind of register or call somebody and get it all hooked up. So then I started getting phone calls about dates and services to have these utilities hooked up. I remember getting a call from 2 different internet companies, guys. I put in interest into a couple companies about who's going to give me the better service for the building that I live in and the area that I live in and the price and all that kind of stuff. So I got a couple phone calls along the way and they were difficult to follow along with. So I did my best in my broken Japanese. Thankfully, some people they did have some broken English that I could follow along with and we could kind of get where we needed to go. But the language has been difficult. And the most difficult thing for me is probably listening. In class, when the teachers are speaking, I can understand 100% pretty much of what they say. 99% of everything I can understand. Because they're talking from the material that we're learning. They've adjusted their language to only use the vocabulary and the things that we've learned. So it's very easy to follow along with. Even when they're speaking fast, they're very clear, they're very good tone, all that kind of stuff, I can follow along. When I get out into the real world or when a listening test comes or whatever it might be, it just seems so much faster. It's difficult to hear the native intonations of everything. It's really difficult for me to follow along with. Although I can probably understand, give or take, about 30% about what's really happening out there in the real world in Fukuoka. For the most time, it's just so fast for me. すみません。ちょっとゆっくりお願いします。And then of course the other side of that is speaking, just in general. I do my best to try and speak Japanese as much as I can. I'm still using English maybe 80% of the day, depending on what my situation might be. A lot of my Japanese friends do speak English. They've spent time overseas, so we interact mostly in English. Japanese when we can. And other just general interactions, going to the store, going shopping, going to the kombini, and even especially at work. Japanese is really required, so I do my best to try and use it, but doesn't mean that it's easy. And then the last point, what's not going so well when school was in, it's over now, was tests and exams and whatnot. I can study as much as I want and as much as I can and remember as much as I want to, but as soon as I sit down to write the test, the brain fog takes over, everything just escapes. It's like I've never seen this stuff before in my life. I really struggle with tests. So it was really difficult, even though I go in very confident. As soon as I open the first page, it's kind of like, I forget what my name is. So those were difficult. Thankfully, GenkiJACS is very lenient in the way of guiding you through reviewing exams. If you fail it, you are allowed to take it again. There's no real penalty in that regard, but they do let you take it again. So usually we kind of review the test as a class. You can ask any questions that you like, just kind of get clarification, and even then, sometimes it's still tricky. But the teachers are great. They give you support. They want you to pass. It's their job. And of course, it's a reflection of what you know in a language that you understand and what you can use in the real world. And I just want to say that when you are studying at GenkiJACS, everything is Japanese. Everything. Your textbooks, the interactions with the teachers, everything. Of course, you can get away with a little bit of English and or your native English, depending on what your classmates or your teacher might also speak. But for using the Mina no Nihongo books that we used, there was only a little bit of English in some of them, but for the most part they were all Japanese. Which of course, immersion is the best way to learn. So let's get into what's going so-so. What have I been borderline satisfied with, I guess? So I guess basic conversation. Although the daily conversation, which I mentioned is not going so great, the basic conversation is going pretty good. I can get by with what I need to do on a daily basis. And of course, thank goodness for Google Translate or DeepL or any other AI app that can translate things for you. Those come in handy, of course. So I can get away with kind of sneaking in. The thing about that is that if you're translating Japanese into English, English is pretty much, it's just what we say, it's English. But usually if you're translating from English to Japanese, it doesn't always convert so well. I'm speaking specifically about Google Translate in this example. Many times I've tried to convey a message or ask a question or whatever it might be from English to Japanese using Google Translate, and it just doesn't translate well. And that was also apparent in homework in school. When I would translate a word or translate a sentence or need something, I would try to write it out. And we give our shukudai to the sensei, and he or she would grade it and give it back to us. And a lot of my translated sentences were marked up in red. Wrong. Wrong particle, wrong word, wrong structure, whatever it might be. So do not rely on Google Translate. I was told that from the beginning from other well-versed Japanese speakers and fellow students. Do not rely on Google Translate when you're studying Japanese. It can help you, it can get you out of a pinch, it might translate a single word very well, but don't rely on it. Another one I like to use is DeepL, and even the AI ones like Gemini are getting a little better as well. So what else is going so-so? Apartment, where I'm living. When I first moved to Fukuoka, I had set up an apartment with GenkiJACS through the school. I paid my tuition, and I paid another lump sum of money, which included my apartment and bills and internet and all that kind of stuff. However, I wasn't very happy at that apartment. Not that it was so far from the school, but that it was a little older. It was quite small. Not really my style for living, so I wanted to find another apartment. And it was a little difficult to find another apartment on my own. In Japan, you need a guarantor. You need someone, a Japanese native person in Japan who has known you for a couple of years, who can vouch for you if you can't pay your rent, or if you randomly have to leave the country and bills are unpaid or whatever it might be. You need a guarantor to guarantee that they can cover the financial side of things. I definitely didn't need one. I had the money. I even offered many companies, don't worry, I can pay a full year, I can pay a year and a half right up front if you want me to. That's not a concern, but it's just what they have. It's their own policies that they've put in. But thankfully, I was walking home one day and came across a company to help foreigners find apartments. So I was just walking home after lunch with a friend and saw the sign and went up to the office, chatted with the owner there, and then within about a week I had found an apartment. She showed me 4 apartments in the same area, and then before that I had viewed about 8 apartments with different companies which were way too small and way too expensive for what they were asking. Good parts of town, close to school, close to station, close to all that kind of stuff, but too small and too expensive. And then she showed me 4 apartments in the same area, which were much bigger, much cheaper, pretty much the same area. Maybe not as convenient as the other ones, but great. And I chose one of them, which is this one, the same one I'm in right now, which I do have a video coming very soon about that entire process, about moving out of the old one, moving into the new one, tours, furniture, all that kind of stuff. It's coming. I know you've been asking. I apologize. It's in the works. So yeah, I am pretty happy in this apartment at the moment. However, I kind of technically moved here to be closer to school, and now that school's over, I don't necessarily need to be in this single apartment or even this area of town. Even though I am in Hakata-ku, which is the main area of Fukuoka, and I've got a great view as well, which I can show you later. But I am thinking of moving closer to my workplace. So I haven't started that process yet. I've kind of literally just got settled into this one, but I'm not attached to it. I would prefer to probably live closer to work just so I can get there and home and anywhere else sooner, faster, quicker. So, and what else is going so-so? Well, the dating life in Fukuoka, as you may or may not know. 11年前 Osakaに住んでいました。1年ぐらい for about 1 year I lived in Osaka, and meeting people in general was much easier. Kansai people are much more friendly, they're more outgoing than generally other Japanese are, and the nightlife there was fantastic and it was much easier to meet and mingle with people and date. Here in Fukuoka, it's been a little bit more difficult. I don't know if it's because of the times, I don't know if it's because of my age, I don't know if it's because Fukuoka. I can't say, but it was really difficult to match with somebody. I dated girls. There are dating apps out there, which I did use for the first couple months and then got rid of those because they just weren't working for me. I found it much easier to just meet and mingle with people in person, or friends of friends, or however it might be. So I did date a few girls, but there was no real connection. I wasn't really getting it compared to what I was doing in Osaka. Even though I was there for a year, it was much easier to form connections with people, I guess. Not sure if I was just lucky, or if it's just how it worked. But anyway, here in Fukuoka, of course, I wanted to study, I wanted to work, I wanted to find a girlfriend. To this point, if you would have asked me 2 months ago when I was planning on initially making this video, I would have said, I'm working on it. But now, I think it's been worked on. So I am dating somebody at the moment. It's still very new, but at least it's fun and it's engaging and we see each other often and we're developing something from there. Who knows what'll happen? Can't say if it'll be long term. It's all very brand new at the moment. She has her life, I have mine. We meet when we can, so it's been great to this point. I'll update you if I feel and if she feels along the way. So what is going well? So one, for me, I'm the kind of person who really likes to get out there, especially when I come to a new city. I like to meet people. I want to know what the city's about. I want to know what people do here. I want to know what the job market is like, where people live, what do they do for nightlife, what activities there are out there. So I always make it a point to kind of look up meetup events, networking events, language exchange events, and try to attend as many as I can. When I lived in Bangkok a few years ago, I had joined Internations, which was a fantastic group, hosted events at different areas that I can learn about what people do in Bangkok and Thailand, what the job market is like, talk with foreigners and Thai at the same time, and just kind of understand at a more streamlined pace. Same with here in Fukuoka. Actually, it was a friend of mine, a fellow student of mine, who introduced me to one of the groups that I still attend to this day. He had mentioned, hey, we're going to this meetup event, you should come by. This is where it is, this is where time starts. Oh great, that sounds like fun, that's what I'm looking for. So I went there and I was really surprised. It was a nice room, really big turnout, really engaging, a lot of fun. Met some great people. So yeah, I kind of made that a weekly thing. Not a weekly thing, they host events every 2 weeks. So on Saturday night, every second Saturday, I would pretty much be at that event. And I ended up going to a bunch of them and being a consistent regular there until my work schedule kind of took over and I wasn't able to attend events as much as I wanted to. But made some definite good friends there, friends I still am chatting with today, and then we hang out and all that kind of stuff. But it allowed me to, for one, practice my Japanese, 2, learn about what people do here in Fukuoka, and 3, what the job market might be like. So if you are new to a city, and even if you're not sure where to start and you're a little shy and all that kind of stuff, go on sites like meetup.com or Instagram or wherever and try to find out what networking events there are, what meetup events are being held in the area. And a few of my videos have been about with those groups, like going to Itoshima and a couple other ones that'll be coming up as well. So you gotta put yourself out there, and it has come back to me. It always does. I find them very beneficial and just a great way to meet people and learn about the new area that you are in, or I am in. So the second one about what's going well is my job, my work. It was my goal to find a job here, to secure a work permit. I did find a job. I've been working in that position since February of 2024. So I've been working part-time while attending school full-time, and that has allowed me to not only keep me financially stable while being a full-time student, but also take steps toward securing a work permit and staying in Japan long-term. That's always been the goal. And that's where I am now. I'm in the process of applying for my work permit. It's been submitted through an agency in Tokyo. Immigration is currently reviewing. Hopefully it all checks out, and within the next few weeks or so I should be receiving that work permit, and then I can begin working full-time. So, school done, work permit coming, living in Fukuoka, having a nice time, dating, I'm eating well, I've joined a gym, exercising, everything's pretty good. But I don't want to gloat. You can ask me anything else that you'd like to ask me, and please tell me what you're up to. A lot of you have told me that you want to come to Japan. You're studying the language, or it's been a long-term goal, or you're starting school upcoming. So let me know where you're at. Let me know what you're up to. But stay tuned, I've got lots more coming. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. Arigatou gozaimasu. Amazon's here.